concerns pertaining to the daily operations of the district. This is the responsibility of the superintendent. In compliance with the State Government Code on Open Meetings, tonight's agenda has been appropriately posted. This is a meeting in the public, not a meeting of the public. As our guests, you are welcome to observe and listen. These proceedings are being video and audio recorded and will become part of Judson's permanent legal record. In order that the tape adequately reflects these proceedings, please silence your mobile devices and refrain from talking while others are speaking. Since it is legally mandated that these proceedings are recorded accurately, I may have to ask for order periodically should I notice that disruptions are interfering with our recording capabilities. Once again, I extend to each of you a sincere welcome from the entire school board. Thank you for your interest in Judson ISD. We have established a quorum, and I will call roll. I will start with Ms. Canoyer.
Suzanne Canoyer, present.
Ms. Rodriguez.
Jennifer Rodriguez, present.
Mr. Diaz.
Rafael Diaz, present.
Ms. Perez.
Lynette Perez, present.
Ms. Eaton.
Deborah Eaton, present.
Ms. King.
Shatanya King, present.
And I am Renee Pichelle, present. To my left is our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Jeanette Ball.
Welcome.
At this time, would you please stand for our pledges and the invocation?
Please bow your head. Heavenly Father, we come before you today, asking you to guide us and help us as we make decisions that are in the best interest of our students and our staff. We thank you for the challenges that you have given us, and we ask that you help us to make them into opportunities for our students. In your name we pray.
Amen.
Dr. Ball, do we have any recognitions today?
No, ma'am, we do not.
Then we will move on to item 3, acknowledgement of visitors and citizens to be heard. I understand that Dr. Fields has a list of those. So, Dr. Fields?
Yes, ma'am, we have 9 individuals that Dr. Fields will be reading off for us. These were submitted, so he will be reading them on our behalf.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, everybody. I hope you don't mind. I'm going to take the mask off so you can understand me better. As I go through, I'll try and announce who it's from. First one is from Veronica Morales. My name is Veronica Morales. I'm a 3rd grade dual language teacher at Hartman Elementary, and I've been teaching for 13 years, 6 years with Judson ISD, and I've been married for 12 years to an Army veteran who has taken extremely good care of me since we first were placed in quarantine in March. One of his biggest fears is that this virus reaches and knocks me down. Considering that you can imagine his concern during this time as we prepare for our return to work and school, since a child, I knew teaching was my passion. Therefore, the return to school is usually exciting for me. However, this year I'm feeling a little bit different. Anxiety, fear, stress, and unsafe are better words of how I feel. As an educator, I understand the importance of student learning. I agree that the best way for students to learn is face-to-face, where they interact with teachers and other students. However, right now, school's not a safe place for anyone's health. There are many concerns I have regarding the reopening of schools. It is why I felt that our district, like many, have decided should go virtual for the first 9 weeks. During these virtual weeks, depending on the status of COVID-19, we can determine if Judson should stay in a virtual a little bit longer or come in person. One concern I have is in reference to the danger of this virus. It's caused many businesses to minimize their operational methods or even close entirely for the safety of their employees and customers. So why are our schools opening where students from ages 3 to 18 will be attending on a daily basis? So much cross-contamination will happen during the transition. Bathrooms, libraries, computer labs, cafeterias, school buses, even simple things such as handrails, doorknobs, and assignments will cause it as well. Second, San Antonio hospital beds for treating COVID-19 patients are becoming full and soon will be unable to new patients, causing them a high chance of not surviving. So why open schools and run this risk to our employees and families? Also, Governor Abbott's order requires people to wear a mask starting at age 10 years. At elementary schools, that's only 4th and 5th grades. How will this ensure young students or myself do not contract the virus? The only precaution we have in place today for this is that we ask students to please wear one and practice our social distancing with them. This makes me feel very uncomfortable as a 3rd grade teacher. This is another reason why I feel schools should open virtually. Furthermore, Texas opened its economy too early, and we are seeing its effects now. With increasing daily COVID-19 cases in our city, county, and state, if we open schools in person, we will see high daily new cases among our children. We will be experiencing in our educational system with children what Texas is seeing in cities with its citizens. These are my reasons why I asked you to please consider opening the school year completely virtual. I love my husband, my Hartman family, and my job. However, after listening and reading about the safety measures that will be implemented, I do not feel safe returning to work. As an excellent educator, as excellent educators, we are capable of delivering effective lessons in person or remotely. I trust that whatever decision you make for reopening our schools is with great thought and consideration of your employees' concerns. Thank you for your time. Second is from Ms. Deborah Cooley. Good evening. I'm the guardian of a 5th grade special education student in the Judson Independent School District. I received a survey and was asked to indicate how my child planned to attend the upcoming school year. However, in order to make an informed and educated decision, the survey left me many unanswered questions and raised concerns that need answers before I'm comfortable making this decision for my child. I've addressed each board member individually in this email, and I'm trusting that all of you will read and address, and more importantly, answer these questions for all parents and faculty, as I'm sure I'm not alone here. I would like a response from the district no later than 10 business days or July 29, 2020. Does the district have standard operating procedures for COVID established? If so, please direct me to where I can read these. How will social distancing be practiced while at school, in the classroom, lining up, recess, etc.? How many students will be in the classroom? How will mask wearing and not allowing students to touch each other or touch each other's masks be enforced? I have concerns about masks becoming a distraction in the classroom and kids spreading germs by leaving and losing their mask in common areas, desk areas, and having other students picking them up and sharing them, taking them from students and using them as props by tossing them around. You get the point. In a school in-person setting, how will breakfast, lunch, and recess be handled? This also includes specials like computer, PE, etc. My child needs interaction with his peers. He needs a lot of physical movement and exercise. He will not do well sitting in a classroom with an all-in-one environment designed to keep kids stationary during the day, including meal times. He needs to move around, and if he isn't given the time, I'm afraid of behavioral problems occurring that is really not his fault as a student. Kids need activity and movement, and that includes the lunch period. Everyone needs a change of scenery. And positive COVID-19 cases, or if a positive COVID-19 case occurs in school, what is the procedure for this? Will the district school be closed for 14 days? All staff and students quarantine? Again, I'm asking because I cannot just take time off of work at a moment's notice. What type of cleaning and precautionary measures will the district be implementing, and how often? What type of screening procedures will be used for visitors and students, faculty alike? We already deal with the virus at school on a regular basis, other viruses at school on a regular basis, cold and flu, etc., go around all the time. What type of protocol changes are you implementing, because kids could have a cold or allergies and it could be misconstrued as COVID symptoms? How will you handle this? The survey sent home to parents, the virtual learning environment was not well defined. What was well defined and quite clear was how the district plans to take attendance through the virtual environment so that the district can obtain its funding. Please understand that it's difficult for parents to answer a survey when the virtual environment was not described in detail. How much of the virtual environment will be live instruction versus independent learning after assignments have been issued? This becomes difficult for children like mine who have special needs. Will they have live support or tutoring when they need help by the teacher, like they do in the actual classroom? Or is this left up to the parent like we had to in the spring? What is the time schedule for instruction periods in the virtual learning environment? I'm a single parent and self-employed. My job requires me to be in various meetings or at appointments during the day. I need to know the virtual schedule and attendance expectations because I need to still work to provide for my household. My child's 10 years old and I'm unable to leave him home alone. If I have a client appointment, he would need to come with me and therefore lose instruction time. Will fifth graders change classrooms virtually? How will IEPs and special education services be handled in a virtual environment? My child's IEP was not fully followed for the last 9 weeks of the school year. Please note, I'm not complaining here. His teachers did the best that they could, and I understand given the circumstances. However, for the upcoming school year, I expect my child to obtain a full educational experience and have these special education accommodations followed because my child needs them in order to be successful at school, regardless if the learning environment is remote or in person. My child is already 18 months to 2 years behind, being that he didn't learn anything during the last 9 weeks of school. What's the district's plan on how they will get these students caught up to grade level? In all honesty, if the virtual learning environment is anything like it was in the spring, this will not work for many parents, such as myself, who lead single-parent households. It was extremely stressful, to say the least. I must work to provide for my family. Unfortunately, my working hours are during the same time as school hours. I would like to see more detailed virtual learning plan so that I can then choose the best learning environment for my child. Will Adventure Club and after-school care be offered? I thank you for taking the time to read and hear my concerns tonight. Again, I would like a response from the district no later than 10 business days or July 29th. From Erica Gutierrez, first grade dual language Coronado Village Elementary. Dear Judson School Board, as a parent and teacher for Judson ISD, I have several concerns regarding the opening of schools for the student body. Face-to-face instruction is only bringing more individuals together in a confined space with an airborne virus. Having to wear a face mask in the school is the #1 indicator that kids and teachers are being sent into an unsafe environment. Safety for all individuals should be top priority during this crisis. The overwhelmed hospitals have proven that cases are on the rise after areas of gathering open to the public. A school has many surfaces that are repeatedly touched daily by multiple students, such as library books, computers, instruments, walls, doors, desks, chairs, and etc. Younger students in pre-kindergarten to first grade usually have difficulty adapting to school the first couple of weeks and require a parent's figure's affection. Due to social distancing, how is this supposed to be handled when a student is on the floor crying? When an individual has been exposed to COVID-19, one individual who has been exposed to COVID-19 can affect multiple individuals in the school that will then endanger individuals at home. This trend will not stop the spread of COVID-19, but will only continue to prolong the fight to control this crisis. Thank you for your time, and please consider everyone's concerns into the decision as it will affect our lives. From Angel Castañeda, citizen to be heard. Other districts are waiving the penalty for resigning after 45-day period. Is this something that Judson is considering for teachers that don't feel comfortable or safe going back into the classroom? Will the district be providing plexiglass dividers or any other PPE for teachers and staff that have to be face-to-face with students? There are local businesses that are willing to custom make and provide plexiglass dividers for districts. Will virtual teachers have to be floaters to relieve face-to-face teachers for duty-free lunches? From Victor Killiam, special ed teacher, Copperfield Elementary. Education is the foundation of a thriving society, the basis of which ideas, innovations, and free expressions can be engendered our society and enrich our civilization. This is the nature of our profession. I'm a special education teacher at Copperfield, and my name is Victor Killian. The kids I work with have an inherent learning gap that is difficult to address even in the most ideal circumstances. Therefore, virtual learning will not suffice in the long term. Before we can even address their educational needs face-to-face, we must ensure their safety. We have two distinct problems: meeting the educational needs and providing a safe environment where these needs can be consistently met. From these two distinct problems, we have a seemingly unending peril of scenarios and questions that splinter even further into groups that have their own subset of fears. All their concerns are equally valid and must be addressed. To ignore one is to ignore them all, and then we are doomed from the start. There is a solution, and collectively, a committee of teachers, parents, and board members collaborating and addressing the fears of our community with specificity, we must draft and institute a set of protocols that can be amended and updated with the needs of everyone involved at the forefront. This is no small endeavor. However, when those who govern cannot or will not provide adequate guidance, the burden falls upon you and me. We are in the trenches. We do not have the luxury of apathy. We must be held accountable before it is too late. We are all aware of the problems ad nauseum, with solutions that are specific, measurable, and attainable, relevant, and timely. We can work together. We must work together. Regret is one of the most difficult things to live with. To lose someone we know and love as a direct result of hasty individual agendas and numbers of spreadsheets do not align with the moral and ethical principles that brought us into this profession. A collaboration of differing viewpoints is the next right step in addressing these uncertainties. Will it be perfect? God, no. But I will progress that is necessary, limiting the dangers that are all too real and all too certain. Allowing those who are taking the risk also be a part of the decision making. As these words are being spoken, many people are mourning, distressed, fearful, and uncertain of what the next steps in our profession and in our lives. We must be bold and virulent against the contagion of fear and uncertainty. We must stand together in these diverse times. Please commit this endeavor and allow us to share in the burden that must weigh heavily on the hearts and minds of all. Next, from Irma Carolina Rubio, AFT member. Dear School Board, Judson Independent School District, I hope this finds you all well or healthy and of spirit. My name is Carolina Rubio. I teach art at Wagner High School and write in chorus with other JISD AFT members to ask that you include teachers from each grade level block on your school reopening committee. We will soon be the nation's newest frontline workers, and it is your ethical duty to receive our insight and advice before compromising our lives. Like other teachers across the United States, I have been drafting my will, choosing my power of attorney, and writing love letters to those who have impacted my life, in case I do not have a chance to tell them everything that they mean to me. No one prepares teachers for the dangers of our profession. Our culture, tacit expectations of teachers, martyrdom, and heroism are at all times working. They were already shootings to take our students' lives, and now there's COVID-19. However, the latter can be mitigated if we make the right choices for the long term. Rather than impatient fears of short term, we'll all suffer. We're one organism. I have an elderly mother I've been taking care of this summer. She has lupus and pulmonary fibrosis. I would rather not teach in person until we flatten the curve in 6 to 9 weeks, so that I don't run the risk of exposing her to COVID-19. But teachers don't have a choice. Parents and administrators do. They are our clients, and we are their humble servants and saviors. This is very evident in the way that our state's physical culture does not compensate districts for the dangers of death at work, the excessive workloads we take on, the emotional labor we give to students as a caring mother or father would. If you include teachers in your decision making, there's room for a more sophisticated, nuanced, and creative range of approaches that both meet the urgent needs of our students, emotional state and socialization and learning while honoring the mortality of your staff. I pose the following questions. May we have at least 2 weeks to earn the 5 to 6 requirements mentioned in the teacher survey sent out yesterday afternoon? Many of us have been working and engaged with other matters this summer, and were blindsided by such a specific grouping of requisites to be considered for online teaching this semester. It's impossible to meet the Sunday deadline for all components. What logistics are we asked to implement once in-person teaching ensues? For students' bathroom breaks, passing periods, cafeteria seating, student pickup and drop-off? Can school counselors, registrars limit class sizes for teacher-to-student ratios to 1 to 10 or 1 to 12, which will enable proper social distancing? Are you concerned with the liability of COVID-19 related employee deaths and possible district bankruptcy as a result? Thank you for your generous time and consideration. Next is
Dr. Fields,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm so sorry. Can you point your mouth a little bit closer to the microphone? The last couple I was having a hard time hearing.
Definitely. I'm so sorry.
Thank you. No, that's, I'm so sorry.
All right.
It was just, I know this is a lot, and I appreciate you taking the time to
Yes,
do all
ma'am.
this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next is Angela Davila. Concerns sending children back to classroom. Both parents work. If we could follow suit like any ISD and begin with virtual learning first and possible face-to-face learning after Labor Day, that would be nice. And finally, good evening, Dr. Ball and board members. I appreciate you allowing me to voice my concerns this evening. My name is Vanessa Garza. I'm a proud Judson ISD teacher and AFT union member. As you know, teachers, staff, parents, and students are concerned with the COVID-19 and the implications it will have on the health and lives of Judson ISD community. We are also very aware of the predicament that the state and federal government have put our local school districts in. We do stand with you and continue to contact the governor, TEA, Mike Morath, and even our local officials. As the COVID numbers continue to climb and we see more deaths each day, we ask you to reconsider the plan of opening our schools for face-to-face instruction. TEA COVID-19 guidelines are changing every day. TEA guidelines say that during the first 3 weeks of school, to facilitate an effective back-to-school transition process, school systems may temporarily limit access to on-campus instruction. Other districts are holding off reopening dates until after Labor Day. We could allow for virtual learning for the first few weeks of school, and this plan would provide the county some time to see if there is a decrease in COVID-19 cases. As of yesterday, TEA announced that the local public health officials will be able to keep schools closed for in-person instruction this fall without risking state education funding. What is Judson going to do to keep teachers, staff, and students safe? We cannot allow students and educators to get sick and possibly die because we are being forced to begin in-person instruction before we are truly ready. We are asking you to be aligned with our surrounding districts, such as SAISD, and as of today, Northside ISD, by allowing us to postpone face-to-face instruction and go virtually until at least after Labor Day. We asked you at the last board meeting what would happen if staff members get COVID-19 or get exposed and have to self-quarantine for 14 days. The only answer that we got, or we could file for CARES Act. If we are required to go back in-person instruction, then the district needs to support us and take care of us. If a teacher is docked for 4 days, that is approximately $800 to $1,000. That would be docked from our pay. That is a teacher's mortgage. We would run the risk of losing our homes because we're being forced to provide in-person instruction. How can you allow this? Please take care of your Judson ISD employees. Please give us the paid days we would need or allow us to work from home if we get COVID-19 or get exposed to COVID-19 and have to self-quarantine. Finally, We had also asked to be part of a reopening committee. Why was our request ignored? Please utilize your valuable JISD employees to be a part of the decision-making process. Please advocate for us, and please make good decisions with human life and health at the forefront. Our lives, our families' lives, our student lives literally depend on it. Thank you. That is it. I apologize for some of the stumbles, but let's see.
It wasn't very long.
This one?
No. This one.
Oh, I read this one. Other districts are waiving the penalty for resigning after 45 days? Yes. No problem.
Thank you, Dr. Fields.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
We'll now move on to item 4, consideration of consent items. If there are any concerns that the board has, let me know if you'd like to pull that item. Item 4A, consider and take action regarding approving minutes from the special meetings held May the 4th, June the 10th, June the 16th, June the 25th, and the regular meeting that was held on June the 11th, 2020. B, consider and take action regarding approving of expenditures equal to or greater than $50,000. C, consider and take action regarding approving the monthly financial information as of May the 31st, 2020. D, consider and take action regarding approving the cooperative purchasing management fees report. E, consider and take action regarding approving an interlocal agreement with the Alamo Area Metro SWAT Team. Is there a motion to consider these consent items?
I move that we approve the consent agenda items A through E as presented.
Motion has been made. Is there a second? The motions have been made and seconded. All in favor, I will give a roll call vote, starting with Mr. Diaz.
Aye.
Ms. Canoyer,
Suzanne Canoyer, aye.
Ms. Rodriguez,
Jennifer Rodriguez, aye.
Ms. Perez,
Lynette Perez, aye.
Ms. Eaton,
Deborah Eaton, aye.
Ms. King,
Shatanya King, aye.
Renee Pichelle, aye. A motion passes unanimously. We'll move on to item 5, discussion and consideration of action items. A, consider and take possible action regarding approving the revisions to the board operating procedures. Dr. Ball?
Yes, ma'am. Excuse me. Before you, you have the board operating procedures. We had talked about this several times, and we had brought this back up in February. So wanted to ask the board if there was any changes that they would like for us to consider in either adding, deleting, or discussing in regards to the board operating procedures that you have in your packet.
Yes, there are a couple of items that we did need to discuss, and that was the putting in writing in our board operating procedures when we would hold our reorganization or nominations for reorganizing the board.
Yes, ma'am, and if I remember correctly, you would like, the board would like for us to put in there that they would be held yearly in May.
And would you please direct me exactly to where
Yes, ma'am, let me just find the
that
page.
is in the procedures?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Michelle?
Somebody's talking to me.
Ms. Canoyer?
Yes, Ms. Canoyer.
This is not the procedures manual that we looked at in our agenda review, but there was language that I know that Ms. Holmes received from TASB for us to insert here, and then also to look at for our I've lost my words.
Board
For our
policy.
board policy, so that we are in alignment with both of those.
That is correct. So what I'd like to know is, and maybe I should ask Dr. Ball, where would we be inserting, what part of these operating procedures
Right.
would we be inserting that information?
So it's currently not inserted. So we could insert it under roles of school board and trustees, duties of the school board. So we could put it right above there in that first paragraph, number 1, where it says, right before it says the duties of the school board. We could add it there.
Okay.
And what we could do is we could add all the items that you'd like for us to add, and then still bring, if you would like, and we could add it and then bring a final clean copy to the next board meeting. So right now we could, Betty could document all and any changes
And
that you.
put it in the proper language?
Yes, ma'am.
and- I see. Well, are there other board members that have anything that they think that should be added?
Go ahead, Ms.
Ms. Perez?
I think there needs to be just some language that talks about when there is a vacancy of a board officer position. Is how I came into the position I had was not after a May election where there was a board secretary named, but that board secretary resigned to go to another public position. And so there just needs to be some language that it may, or within, or at the next meeting following a
Vacancy?
vacancy. You know, there just needs to be some language addressing that scenario.
Okay, so you're saying that it would be held in May, or if there is a vacancy in a position, we could do it
The next board meeting.
at the next board meeting?
Correct.
Anyone else? Mr. Diaz?
One thing that I recall from our conversation, and maybe it's in here, but I'm missing it. So under the duties of the officers, we had a section that explicitly discussed the duties of the president, duties of the vice president, but it was silent to the duties of the secretary of the board. Is that the proper term? Secretary?
It's actually in there. It just,
It's in there.
it got
It's in the wrong location?
not in the wrong location, it just, the indentation was off, so it threw it off.
Right, I do see it, and the little red mark
Yeah.
indicates that we need to scoot it over.
So,
Is that what
and
you're
it
talking
isn't
about,
as
Doc?
emphasized.
It's on page,
I see. Yep. My
So it
apologies.
does say the
It's on
secretary
page
shall.
That's right. Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
I'm sorry.
And secretary, you know, should be capitalized. If the other
Right.
is
Gotcha.
capitalized.
Okay, and then the
For
second thing,
consistency. Right.
the second thing under section 2, paragraph A, I think it was, placing items on the agenda. So one of the things that I think we had discussed, I think, if not, we can discuss it today, was if a member submits an item for consideration to the board, it'd be nice to have context behind that. So I don't know what it currently is. I don't know how it's formatted. My understanding is that we can do an email or talk to the president and or superintendent about it. However, it'd be helpful for me if somebody's submitting an item that I understand what the intent is, what the lens is. That way I know what I'm looking for when I'm evaluating that. So it'd be nice to have a kind of a standard form. I know that the municipalities have a very similar form where member places the specific language and then gives kind of their entire intended outcome or what the intent of it is for. That would just make it easier for all of us, in my opinion. And I'll speak for myself. That'll make it easier for me to understand why it's being submitted and what I'm looking for. So I think a kind of a standardized form would be a good practice for us.
So a form for placing items on the agenda with supporting background information as to
Yeah, just.
why it's on.
Yes, yeah. And I think we can pull, and only because I've been privy to it in the past in a former career. Like the city of San Antonio has a council consideration request, has the language, and then the context around that request to be placed on the agenda. And that is part of the packet. That way when members look at it, they understand, okay, this is the language, this is what the intent is, and then, you know, some context around it would be nice, just to have a standardized practice.
I like that idea.
We could develop a draft and bring it back.
Does anybody else want to speak to anything? Ms. King? Ms. Eaton?
No, can y'all hear me without me keep flipping this thing? 'Cause it
Yes, ma'am, I
fogs up
can,
my
but I don't know
glasses.
about those that are Zooming.
Yeah, the changes that I read when I went through it, I agree with those.
I do believe I have one more change to make, ma'am.
I do too, but I was going to just wait until last.
Yes, ma'am.
Go right ahead, Dr. Ball.
On page 1B, where it says board packet, I think everybody's aware that we're going to a new system. And from what I understand, and I'll ask Betty to correct me if I'm wrong, there won't be that opportunity to print it the way we currently print it. So I think one has to be either changed, because the way I at least read it, it makes it sound like you can print it and provide it, and that won't be an opportunity anymore.
But on mine, all that was changed. Hold on.
I'm looking at page 46,
Oh, I'm not way down there.
board packet.
Right,
It's page 5 of the document.
yeah.
Oh, okay, 5 of 14.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to find it, because I read through it, and somebody made changes to correct that packet thing, and it says.
They're
You
just
see it?
recommended
What page,
changes.
where are you? Page 5?
And I guess the
Yes.
word provided, to me, still, I'd like for
Takes care of that. It sounds to me like
it'll just be online. So I just wanted to make everybody aware that it'll only be online. I cannot provide a hard copy.
right. So,
As long as everybody feels that that's clear, then I'm okay with it.
Should we change it to?
electronically provided?
Board
Somewhere else
materials?
in here where it talks about it, and it says,
When you think of packet, you're thinking you're going to receive something physical.
Shall be electronically provided to the board.
Sure, we'll put the word electronically, and then that
That'll
should be
work.
clear.
but that's,
Ms. Eaton?
never mind.
One more thing that I was wanting to discuss with the board to see what you thought about it was in including another position. At one time, the Board of Trustees did have the position of an assistant secretary. I do not know when it was stopped, I don't know when it stopped. But I do know that at one time there was the position of an assistant secretary. And I wanted to bring it to your attention to see what you thought about reinstating that particular position.
I would worry that having 4 board officers could lead to there being the optics of there being a voting majority having officer positions, and I don't exactly know what an assistant secretary would do in the first place. So I don't feel, in my opinion, I don't feel like that would be necessary.
Okay, thank you for that. Anyone else?
I know what,
agree with,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. I agree with Ms. Rodriguez. As it stands now, if the secretary is not at a meeting, there's another officer to fill in, to take care of the minutes and handling anything that needs to be done during the meeting. So the optics do always concern me. And so I agree with Mrs. Rodriguez. I don't think it's necessary.
Thank you for your input. Anyone else? Ms. Eaton, you
Well,
were about to say
My
something.
understanding for the request, because we discussed this actually the end of last year. It was discussed because I had my surgery on my shoulder and I couldn't use my hand. And it was discussed because in an event that the secretary can't make it, because at that time we had a secretary that, was starting to do some things, and we wanted to make sure that we always had someone here to sign documents. So then that person doesn't have to try to come in a day or two later. And I mean, now it's an issue, but before, finding Miss Betty wouldn't be an issue because of this current situation. That's why it was discussed. But I kind of understand what you all are saying too. But that was the intent, was to have a backup for the secretary for times that you can't make it here or something is going on, and we always have signature authority. That was what it was. That was it.
Is there a board member then that feels like that it is worthy of us taking a look at to see what the position would entail, what the responsibilities would be, or not?
So I don't want to be top-heavy, and I don't want to have 4 officers on the board. But more importantly, let me ask the question: in the absence of the secretary, do the officers have signing power?
Absolutely. The
Okay.
vice president
Okay.
can do that. No, Ms. King, you don't have any comment?
No, I mean, if it's not needed, if others can sign and take on that responsibility, if the secretary's not there, then I don't think.
Well, I'm getting the general consensus
Yeah.
that it wouldn't be necessary for us to consider that as an option to go inside of our general operating procedures. So, Dr. Ball, I think that what we are looking to do is to add when we would be doing our regular reorganization of the board, and to include in the event that there is a vacancy in a position, to do it at that time. And also, if there's a vacancy in an officer position, is that what you're saying? To include, if there is a vacancy in the officer position, that we would take care of the reorganization at that next board meeting?
Yes, ma'am. So what we can do is we will add that part, clean it up, so you will no
Okay.
longer see next month the blue and the red. Because
Okay.
I'm assuming no questions or comments on the blue and the red. We'll clean it up and put it in the next meeting.
Very
Yes.
good.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Michelle?
Yes. Yes, Ms.
I do have a comment. It's not about the board operating procedures, but it refers back to Mr. Diaz's request for a form to fill out for any request for an agenda item. I'd also like to see us, if this is something that my fellow members are agreeable to look at our strategic priorities and perhaps consider adding which strategic priority that board agenda item request falls under, so that we can make sure that we are, as a board, addressing what we have decided were the things that were important for us to look at.
Very good. Thank you, Ms. Canoyer. So, Dr. Ball, we also would like to have some sort of a form for request of an item when a board member requests an item to be placed on the agenda, and that item would include some type of background information so that everyone would know the purpose for that item.
Right, and to make it easier for the board members that will be filling out those forms, this is our strategic priorities. This page will be laminated and placed right here, so you always have it. but I wanted to give you the complete package because I know that somebody had been asking for that, and it took us a little while to do it because we wanted to have a comprehensive document that would be able to flow well. So it was not just that one part that we had to develop. So each one of the board members will have that. We'll provide you, Ms. Canoria and Ms. Rodriguez, your copies. So when you're filling out that form for an agenda item, you will be able to glance at this and say, oh, okay, well, mine falls under effective instruction, involving family and community, positive school culture. So you'll have this document. So just wanted you to provide you a copy that you could either leave it here or take it with you, but know that that one sheet will be laminated and taped here so you can always refer to it.
That's excellent, thank you. All right, we need a motion for item 5A.
I
Is
move
there a motion?
That we direct the superintendent to take the comments that have been offered into the record this evening and to bring them back for the board to consider at its next regular meeting.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
The motion has been made and seconded. We'll have a roll call vote. We'll start with Ms. Rodriguez.
Jennifer Rodriguez, aye.
Ms. Canoyer,
Suzanne Canoyer, aye.
Ms. King,
Shatanya King, aye.
Ms. Eaton,
Deborah Eaton, aye.
Ms. Perez,
Lynette Perez, aye.
Mr. Diaz,
Rafael Diaz, aye.
and Renee Pichelle, aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Dr. Ball, and we'll be looking forward to those changes next month.
Yes, ma'am.
We'll take care of item 5B in closed session. We'll move on to item 6, the discussion items and reports. Superintendent report, construction update. Dr. Ball?
Yes, ma'am, that's in your packet, so I know everybody's had time to review that. So if there's any questions, we'd like to open that up. But I know that the team is working very hard on all our projects. So I don't have anything except for what was already in the packet, ma'am.
Does anyone have any discussion? Okay, we'll move on to item B, Jetsam Police Department update. Dr. Ball?
Yes, ma'am, that's also in your packet, but I do want to invite Chief to come up. She has the PowerPoint that she would like to share. And then, of course, if there's any questions, she would like to answer those.
Okay. Good evening, Board President, Dr. Ball, members. We were given a request to tell the difference between 2018, 2019, 19, and 20 on a request of our organizational chart. In your packets, you should have received our organizational chart, which consisted of 30 officers at that time. Due to attrition, we did lose a few officers to other law enforcement agencies due to cost of insurance, higher salary, one nurse to nursing school, and one to court reporting who decided to take a different field in career choice. So it brought us down to 25 officers in 2020. Of course, there was attrition budget, and we are currently understaffed by 5. Unfortunately, but very happy for Corporal Larry Fletcher, who's a very big asset to our police department, is retiring August 31st of 2020. So we're not sure where we're going to be at, but hopefully we'll get an approval. If not, we're going to make ends meet whichever way we can. Here's our organizational chart back in 2018-19. Here's our chart 2019-20. We still have 2 officers at each high school, one at J-Care, one at every middle school. We have 2 canine, 1 south, 1 north. We have a district support for elementary, A, B, C. And then we have our afternoon district, which is a 2 to 10 shift, which is 1 on the south, 1 on the north, and then, of course, the night shift that covers all the alarms, the burglar alarms, et cetera, on south and north of the district. There was a request made for updates on thefts, losses through vandalism, burglaries at the district facilities. In your package, you received an ARMS, that is the automated report management system that we utilize to keep track of all our report writing. You will see that you were issued a case number, date, and time. It defines a burglary, criminal mischief, and theft, the district location, and public information, and it will also show you the loss of what occurred at that campus. There was a request for insurance recoveries. Bexar County restitution for 2018-19, we received a little bit of funding from the district attorney's office, which was $4,043.79. 2019-20, we're at about $1,585.57. Insurance claims made by the district would be referred to our CFO. When we talked to Michelle Hazy, that would take her some time due to frontline and everything that they're going through right now with changes. If it is requested, she will be more than happy at a later time to provide those documents. It will just take us some time to go through the system to find where those checks came in from and which case they represented. Request for D&E, regular schedules versus summer schedules. This was also included in your packet due to the safety and security of Judson ISD staff and community and students. We decided to not present it, but it is included in your packet. Accounting for equipment due to the safety and security of JISD students, employees, and community. Dr. Ball requested this would also be turned into your packet. The last request was the relationship between our PD and the cities that comprise our district. We are a fortunate school district to coincide with 7 to 8 entities. Judson ISD Police Department has always fostered a professional working relationship with all cities, law enforcement agencies that are listed, including our JISD communities. Please note that our most important value is to continue to build trustworthy relationships with all our Judson ISD students, staff, and to provide a safe and secure environment for everyone. I can tell you that this summer we worked really hard. During our COVID lockdowns, et cetera, we made a few mental health service calls. We also worked with the counseling department and made home visits, delivered meals, homework packets, et cetera, because there was a group of students that could not be reached by emails or by telephone numbers. So we made several home visits. And so we were able to work with the truancy department, and it made a really big difference in the community. When they had seen us, they were very happy to see us. So we made those calls during this summer. So we were a little bit busy. So that's our presentation. I am open for any questions, suggestions, concerns, ideas.
Well, I'll start. I don't know if anyone else has any concerns, but I will begin. Thank you for a very comprehensive report, Chief Ramon. And maybe, may I make a suggestion? If this report had to be quite so comprehensive, because on a regular routine basis, we do not hear from your department. And so I don't have that type of communication where in the Superintendent Friday notes that we can keep abreast of what you all are doing. So I appreciate that you gave such a long report, but maybe if we got something more routine, it wouldn't have to be quite so long all the time.
Yes,
I'd
ma'am.
appreciate that.
Okay.
One of the other concerns that I have is because of all of the recent uprisings of protests that have gone on in our country, there are so many police departments that are looking at restructuring their police departments. My question to you is, has Judson PD thought of looking at a restructuring type of project in your department? And the reason why I'm asking is because I see that we do have quite a few of our officers at the high schools and at the middle schools, and it's good that the presence is there. However, we're getting ready to walk into a brand-new school year where you could see there were 8, 9 people that had concerns that were all teachers that Dr. Fields read to us at the beginning of our meeting. And so it would seem to me that there would need to be a presence at our elementary schools because we are very uncertain about how parents are going to, how they're going to behave when that first day happens. And I would hope that there would be uniformed officers at our elementary schools because we have them already designated at our high schools and middle schools, but that there would be some sort of presence at the elementary schools also, so that if there is any kind of disagreement, that the PD would be ready to step right in. So that was a long thing to say, but my question is, have you thought about a restructuring?
We already are in the process. I have Lieutenant Hernandez and Corporal Resendez here. We've already talked about that, but not only at the elementary school. It's about maybe pushing some of our staff from the evening shifts up to the morning shifts because the safety of watching out for our backs and everybody else. We know that with all the protesting that has gone on, we've already been challenged a few times. And fortunately, the community has worked with us. And so we're very happy to say that our relationship with the community is outstanding. As far as the elementary schools, our patrol division is divided into 4 sections. Our patrol division has anywhere from 4 to 5 schools. And what they do is they periodically get out of their vehicle, walk into the elementary school, check with the administrator, make a few rounds inside the campus to make sure everything's under control. Now, I wish I had an officer for every campus, and I don't, but I guarantee you that we are periodically getting out of our vehicles, walking to campuses at the elementary sites. Our principals, our secretaries have our personal numbers, our dispatch number, and when they need something, the officers are in that immediate area. So the response time is anywhere from 2 to 3 minutes. The other good thing about it is if it's an emergency situation with, unfortunately, adults fighting in the parking lot inside the school, we're able to call for backup from another agency, and they will work with us. Once we get there, we take care and control of the situation because it is our premises, it's our property.
Thank you for that, because I was going to ask just exactly, since there are shifts at the elementary schools, I wasn't aware that they actually got out of the car and went into the school.
Oh, yes.
So that's what I wanted to know. What do they actually do at the elementary schools? So that is something that can continue to be done. But again, I'm really concerned about what school's going to look like when it does open, and I would just hope that one of our officers in uniform would be at these elementary schools to step in when someone defies authority.
And those are the challenges that we're going to be faced with, and those are things that we've been discussing for the past 2 weeks. We had an ISD chiefs meeting yesterday. So the concerns that you're bringing to us are the concerns that every board member is bringing to their police department, to their ISD police department. And so we're coming up with plans as far as, you know, personal protection, you know, the mask, what the challenges are going to be as far as if a parent walks in and they're going to challenge us because they don't want to have the mask on. Those are challenges that admin's going to face, we're going to face. When is it going to become a law enforcement issue? And so those are the things that we're going to be faced with, and we have a line of questions. We will be doing department training. We will be meeting with administration because these are things that we're going to have in place when we open up, and we want to be ready.
Thank you. So, Dr. Ball, those things that Chief Ramon is talking about, that they're looking at doing, would you please make sure that that's outlined in future superintendent notes so that we know what they're doing?
I don't think she could hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm asking if what Chief Ramon is saying could be included in the Friday notes? That's what I'm asking. Thank you very much.
Comment?
I'll yield to, yes, the board.
Chief, thank you very much for that summary that we receive in our board packets every month, the incident reports. I'm not sure how much more of what's being requested can be added to that, to make this task a little easier. But that summary covers each and every school, every incident, or everything, and we get it every month. I would just want to be careful about how we share our officers' schedules, you know, in the open. Maybe next time we can do it in closed session, because we don't want to give away our hand, if you know what I mean.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much. You guys do an awesome job. And you're right, you've had a couple of challenges, and I have to say, Judson ISD Police Department, you guys handled it with the utmost dignity and respect. And you great pride upon the district. Who else?
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I'd like to say something. So I appreciate the presentation, and you know, I know that our officers work very hard, in particular in the area of community relations, and I recognize the great work that they did in helping to make sure that all of our students were having access to school in the last 9 weeks, and you know, the gang mitigation work that they've done with some of our elementary school students. But Ms. Pichal, I disagree with having uniformed officers on our elementary campuses. I think in particular, that often can lead to escalation of incidents rather than a de-escalation of incidents. And that is not, I don't want to say that that originates with officers, but I know that tensions can rise by seeing a uniformed officer on campus, and that should only be used sparingly. I think, like, it is my personal opinion that police should be a last resort and not a preventative measure in relationships between our school and community. And I think that that would not be a good look for showing that, you know, safety and coming back to school, in my personal opinion.
Thank you, Ms. Rodriguez. I respect your personal opinion, but I'm going to have to agree to disagree with you because I am thinking exactly like you are, is that there are going to be, I'm just thinking about the fact that because everything is so uncertain, that there may be people that will come up to the elementary schools that might defy authority because they're afraid of their child being back at school. And I'm not saying that I anticipate that that's going to happen. I hope that it doesn't. But I just think that for the same reason that you say you don't think so, that I think that they should be. Just not to bring fear, but just to know that they're there to accompany the principal and the counselors and those that are already there at that school. Is there any other discussion?
So I have more of a discovery question, just for my learning. Chief, and by the way, thank you, and thank you, gentlemen, for being here. I assume your shifts are built by design based on data, right?
Yes, sir.
So could you give us insight as to why you design it this way? And then the second part of that is, do you and the rest of the ISD chiefs have any idea, or how do you plan for a post-COVID world and determining where do you put your assets to be most effective while keeping the balance of, you know, to Ms. Pachal's point, maintaining some support for our staff, and then, you know, to Ms. Rodriguez's point also of doing so in a very sensitive way with like trauma-informed care, if you will. So how do you all figure that out?
So we're waiting for the final plan for JISD so that once we know we have a set plan in place, then we will discuss our plan for Judson Police Department. And that's what every ISD police department is doing right now. because everything changes daily. So I can guarantee you that whatever we need or to pull from our department to help the district make changes, we will be there. But when I talk about our schedules on why we put so many here on A, B, or C, I would prefer that we do that in closed session. If not, I could email and Dr. Ball could send it to you directly if that's what you choose to.
I meant, and thank you for that, and I completely understand and respect that. I meant more so why heavier presence? I think I know the answer to this, but why a heavier presence at your high schools and middle schools? Just out of curiosity what the data says.
And the reason we have officers at middle schools and high schools is because of the disorderly conduct fighting, the weapons on campus, et cetera, that may be on campus one day, but more so to have control of the environment, to make sure everybody's at ease and at peace and is welcome to attend school on a free, safe school zone. Unfortunately, every school district has their numerous of drugs that come on campus, et cetera. So our presence there and to, of course, stop any disturbances versus the teachers, the administration getting in the middle of it, that's our responsibility, our duty. And therefore, that's why we have so many at the high school and so many at the middle school. And each school district is like that, sir. But I'd be more than happy to clarify anything else you need.
I think I'm good. It was just for my learning and just to confirm some things that I thought. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
If there's no other discussion, Dr. Ball,
Ms.
Oh,
Michelle?
Yes, go right ahead.
Ms. Kenoyer. Thank you. I just want to say thank you, Chief, for providing all this information. I firmly believe we have an outstanding police force and that you do everything you can to make sure that our students and staff are safe at school. And I also believe that you go above and beyond what a number of ISD police forces do. I choose to believe that our parents, any actions that they have are out of concern for their child. I think that the more we can communicate with parents about exactly how we are keeping their children safe at school during these times, the more relaxed they're going to be. I also firmly believe we have an amazing campus administration at every campus that will be able to help alleviate those concerns. And I know that they will take their time and explain what actions and rituals and safety measures have been put in place so that their students are safe. I appreciate greatly the fact that we are able to have officers on our secondary campuses. I believe with my whole heart the fact that we have the same officers stationed there year after year to develop relationships with those students is a proactive measure that stops a lot of things from happening. And in my opinion, it is well worth the investment that we put into making sure that that staff is there. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kenoyer. If there's no further discussion, Dr. Ball, we're going to wrap this up.
Thank you, Chief. I just also, on my behalf, I want to say thank you for all you do and also to your team for all your support. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Chief. Item 6C, update on return to learning plan. Dr. Ball?
Yes. I have a presentation that Mike's going to help me put up there, and I don't know, Mike, if there's a clicker or... Yes. Awesome.
I don't know if it'll reach all the way over there, though. But we can try.
Okay. Okay, let's see. No. Okay. I can go over there. I can click for you. So as we discussed last week, I had said
Yes.
that we would bring you more information. So as many of you know, things are constantly changing on a daily basis. So the last time that we met, if my memory is correct, I think at that time, we still didn't have the new guidance from the commissioner and from the governor. So I wanted to share some data with you. I hope that everybody that's on Zoom can see this, Ms. Canoyer and Ms. Rodriguez, and I think that Betty sent this to everybody. So one of the first things that we did is we sent an email survey to the parents for elementary students asking them what they would prefer. So you have the information there. Surprisingly, 42.6 want face-to-face instruction. Again, keep in mind this is out of 4,551 responses. Then we did the exact same thing for middle school. So you have the graph there for middle school. Dr. Fields?
Sorry.
No problem.
I think they all, yes, ma'am.
Let me see.
I think that's middle.
This is middle. Here we go. This is high school. So
Yes,
you
ma'am.
have that information there. It's pretty well split, pretty close. The highest one being the remote learning, but it's only by 38%, meaning that 31% want face-to-face and 29 would be the staggered blended, which part of it is face-to-face. So you have that information. Dr. Fields?
Yes, ma'am.
Then option for what do you prefer for the high school? You have that information right
And then
there.
middle school. Yes,
For the
ma'am.
this is for the middle school, excuse me, for the middle school. Okay, we can keep going. So then what we did is back in June, we had asked the teachers what they preferred. This was back in June. So we currently sent out a survey Wednesday, which was yesterday, and asking them current information. So this is just so you can see what it was like at that time period. For some it's changed, for some it hasn't, but just to provide you information.
Hold on.
Oh, go.
Oh, go back? Yes, ma'am.
Uh-huh.
I apologize.
Sure.
And are you okay if I ask you questions? on the slides?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Want me to go back?
Yeah, can we just
Go to the beginning.
to the beginning?
Okay. So this is elementary.
Okay. So 4,500 responses. What's the total universe of student?
22,000. So it's a small percentage.
20%?
Right. So now what has happened is the phone calls. Parents, administration has been contacting the parents that have not responded.
So almost 60% of those responses at which 20% of our elementary families are opting for virtual, correct?
Yes, 57%.
57%. Yeah.
Good. Okay.
Could you go
we're
on,
good.
sir?
Let's do the next one, Dr. Fields.
Yes, ma'am. And it has the first child, second child, third child, and then now to high school.
What is, just
Like
to
if
be
you have
clear,
more
what
than
is,
one child.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, okay.
so does that,
Can you go back to the elementary then, please? All right, so if they have another child,
So they have that.
okay, they're still opting for option B, virtual.
Yes.
Okay, and then child number 3?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so at the bottom, you see the number of responses, 343,
I see.
681, or 4,504. I guess you would have to add all of those then
okay.
to see the elementary.
This is high school.
Yes, ma'am.
Out of 1,407 responses,
And what's the total universe for high school?
and the number that I gave you was total.
Total
The 20,
students?
I gave you the 22,000, that's total number of students.
Okay.
Well, he was asking.
For elementary?
Elementary, yeah, I
Yeah,
don't have that one
elementary
memorized.
only.
Yep.
But if we did add all the responses, then that would give us the response rate over the entire universe.
It still would not include everybody because not everybody.
Not
Right,
everybody
right,
responded.
Right. Okay.
How many households make up the 22,000?
How many households?
So if we have 22,000,
Oh,
and you have,
I see.
some households have multiple
5 children or 4 children?
Yes.
Yes, good question, I don't know. Yeah, good question. I could definitely find that out and see.
That would be good information. Okay. Child number 2 in high school.
And I have a question, a quick question. When did this survey close? Like, how fresh is this data?
Sunday.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, this is new information. This started right after we had our meeting, so it's new. It was a very small window because we wanted to have some information for this meeting, and then also knowing that we knew that we would continue to work with the parents to get them to get the information from them. Are we okay to keep going?
Yes.
Okay. I think we've looked at all of
Yes,
it.
ma'am.
Okay. So here is some of the information that I wanted to provide you. So some of the operations and logistics updates that we have been working on is the signage, making sure that all of our campuses and all of our facilities have the signage. Dr. Fields, if you click on the red one, they should be able to see
Yes,
the
ma'am.
procedure manual. So there is lots of information that the team has worked on developing. It's very lengthy. We are not going to go through it, but I just wanted you to see that that does exist. Oh, and maybe it's not, yeah, oh. It's coming, it's loading. So if you would just scroll down, Dr. Fields, you can see that we have all this information in regards to how we're going to clean, what we're using, what it's going to be like. So all of that is clearly outlined, and that information is on there. So not only do the custodians know, but the administrators know, so it's completely written out and spelled out there as to what will be done. So if you go back to the original slide, Dr. Fields,
Yes, ma'am.
we have, had lengthy conversations about all of these bulleted items. Procedural guidelines for safe breakfast and lunch, increased ventilation on the buses and the classrooms. We've talked about the DAEP students, that we will not have students start at DAEP. We want to give our students an opportunity to go back into the classroom. We feel that's very important. We'll go to the next one. So there's still a lot of things that we are working on, okay? One of the things is we continue to filter all the questions. So if you go to our website, you can click on and ask a question. All the questions go to one person, and depending on the question, Dr. Fields could get some, everybody could get some.
You want me to share?
Yes.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
you can see that it's very easy to answer, to get the questions. And I know my team is answering them, and I know I'm getting some because we spend lots of time answering the questions. Now, right here, we're posting all the answers, and this is updated. So this is an example, and it keep going down, Dr. Fields, so they can see. We keep updating it and updating it. Now, go to the bottom, right there, it says, if your question is not listed, you click on there, and it's sent. At this time, we have received 5,241 comments, questions, and the team has been diligent about it because the team also CCs me or blind copies me, and I see them. And we're doing that to each other, so we know, what the concerns are. So the team is doing a fabulous job doing that. So we're definitely answering questions. Then we have, you can click on there, Dr. Fields.
Yes, ma'am.
We have this return to learn guide. So the questions have been answered. Sometimes, again, it's difficult because you have to read through things, but the information is on there and it's available. So here, this is a document that you will see that we've provided the guidance to our administrators. So this is information that, we have shared.
And this is publicly available on the website as well, correct? For parents who want to go into detail on this?
We gave this first to our administrators to be reading this and looking at this, and we will put this on there, but we wanted to share it with them first so they would have it, but we'll also be putting that on there.
Okay,
But we-
good. I know some parents have been asking for this, and I know we're going to do a couple of iterations of the parent surveys, and I might suggest that once this is ready to go live for the community, that we put a link embed it in the survey, so that for those parents who want to read about the health and safety guidelines before they make a decision, that they can do that right through that same portal.
We'll continue to do that, Ms. Rodriguez, but when we did send out the survey, the link was on there. This is addressed right now in regards to it's a question and then an answer. Because if you go back and you look at the questions, the question answer document, it'll talk about how are we doing lunch, and it's a question and then the answer is on there. Recess is talked about on there. So there's lots of these items that have been taken from the questions and put on here and vice versa.
Great, thanks.
Absolutely, and we'll continue to provide that. There's also a guidance document that is on the website, so lots of great information. So right now where we're at is that we are going to be contacting the parents to find out their choices. We're waiting on the delivery of the laptops for the teachers and the Chromebooks for the students. We're continuing to have training, virtual training for the teachers. We're going to add, we know that the classes are full. We're going to add some more classes so teachers can continue to be trained. We have received our PPE from TEA early this week, and we're working on the distribution. We're working on getting the learning management system, the front line, obtaining additional bandwidth. So those are all things that we're still continuing to work with, okay? So what are our thoughts, okay? We want to make sure that we take care of as many needs as possible. But at the same time, before we decide to go 100% virtual, we have to make sure that we're truly ready, that we're ready to go virtual. So do we have our devices? Have the teachers been trained? Do we have the Wi-Fi, the LMS? Are we addressing the equity issues, the parents that need to work and the home, and there's not going to be anybody at home, the social emotional needs? We want to make sure that what we implement is not just for children of privilege, meaning that we address all our students' needs, because we also realize that our parents need to work. We don't want to put teachers in jeopardy or in harm, but we have to be prepared. We have to be ready. So Dr. Fields, the next one. So what's next? What's next? We could start with our 3 options on August the 17th. We could start virtual on August the 17th. We could start after Labor Day. All of these choices come with positive and negative unintended consequences. So at this time, what we're continuing to do is to plan, take care of our business, meaning that making sure we get our laptops, making sure we offer the training for our teachers, double checking the Wi-Fi capability, all those things. So at this time, we're doing what we need to do, and there'll continue to be more information to come. So questions, comments?
I have a question. When do you think the laptops are going to start coming in?
They should be coming in the week right before August the 17th. Now, today when I was on the commission, oh, sorry. Not the laptops. Sorry, that's the Chromebooks. Sorry. The laptops, Bill, could you?
It's going to be mid-September.
Thank you. Yes, I do remember now. We talked about that. So our backup plan is to use some of the Chromebooks for teachers also.
And we have enough for that?
Right now, no, ma'am. Okay? So that's why we're waiting to get our order. What I don't want to happen is that we make a decision right now, and then I come back in a week and say, oh my gosh, guess what? Our shipment didn't come in. Something happened. So I know that it's extremely hard for everybody to be patient, but I promise you, we will do the right thing for our staff and for our students. But I can't do that anything right now without making sure that I have everything in place.
It's just kind of hard to believe that August 17th is just 31 days from today.
Yes, the summer has gone by as quicker than ever before. Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Ball, I want to thank you and Betty for sending to the board the draft of the letter that the Bexar County School Board Coalition put together. The only thing that I'd like to say in reference to our return to learning plan is that I am exactly like the teachers and the parents in the community. I sincerely understand their issues and concerns about starting school. I have exactly the same concerns and issues that they do. I'm going to follow your lead. I just want to know, how is it that each school district seems to be making their own decisions about what they're going to do outside of what we'll do collectively? And that is, there are some school districts that are saying absolutely not. There will be no face-to-face. Everyone will be virtual.
Unfortunately or fortunately for them, I think that I have shared with the board that the board there were some previous decisions that were made, again, not trying to blame anybody, but there were some previous decisions that were made that left Judson ISD in a disadvantage. So Judson ISD did not have the Wi-Fi capability, the infrastructure, and the device to be able to go forward. Most school districts have been one-on-one and have had an abundance of technology, which unfortunately our district did not. So I commend the board for approving our request that just happened last week. And we're moving forward to rectify, and that's one of many things that need to be rectified.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. I'm
I'd also
supporting
like,
Go ahead.
I'd also like to add that there has been some counties where the health officials have closed them. So it's not because of the school district or anything, but Travis County is one of them, Hidalgo County is one of them, and I know that there's one more, and I just cannot remember the name of it. I know that at those school districts, they have been closed because of the health officials.
Very good, thank you. Anyone else have any discussion? No?
I think I would just add that I know Dr. Ball knows this, but that the mayor of San Antonio has is commissioned a task force to also make a decision, I think, that is made up of parents and educators to help make a decision about whether Bexar County or the city of San Antonio would do a similar action to those other counties that have declared that schools should not open. And I know they're moving quickly on that.
Yes, absolutely. And that was one of the reasons why the School Board Coalition got together so quickly. It was rather last minute. But that's why we got together so quickly to send that letter to the governor last night. I informed them that we would be having our board meeting tonight, and so they wouldn't get the document until after it was already signed. But I was just glad to be a part of it, to work in solidarity with the other school districts in our county, that we would like to leave more of the flexibility up to the districts.
If I could add a little bit more, so I do have more information. We have about 6,000 high school students, 6,500 middle school students, and 11,000 elementary students. So if you can see that we still have parents to contact and get their feeling on that information.
How many elementary did you say?
Roughly 11,000, and
Okay.
of course, those are rough numbers. I do feel very confident that we are going to do the right thing for our students and for our employees. I do feel very confident. What I cannot say at this time is exactly how. And I know that by not saying exactly how, brings about a lot of stress and a lot of tension. But what I don't want to do is to tell our wonderful staff something this week and then tell them something different the following week. So the luxury of time is that I'm asking for, with the commitment of knowing that we will do right by our staff. We will do right by our students also.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to
Michelle?
item
I
6.
think there was
Just
Oh,
wanted-
I'm sorry.
I think Ms. Suzanne wanted to say something as well.
Oh, go right ahead, Ms. Canoia, I'm sorry.
Thank you. I just want to say that I know that we are in a difficult position in terms of making sure that we do the right thing. I just want to reassure all our constituents and our staff and our students and our families that this board, and I think I can speak for all of us when I say that, we want to err on the side of safety. We want to make sure that we do everything we can to make sure everyone involved is safe. I also want to make sure, Dr. Ball, that we do everything we can to prepare every single teacher to be able to teach virtually, because we honestly don't have any idea of how things might go even beyond the first 6 weeks of school, beyond the first 9 weeks. So from my perspective, I want to be sure that you know that you have my complete support if we need to expend extra funds in training, whatever it is that we need to do to make sure that we are prepared to take on whatever mode of learning is going to happen in the future.
Thank you, ma'am. And that's what we need, a little bit more time. There's been lots of teachers that have already registered for the training. We're opening up more trainings for the teachers. So we're committed to doing that. I'm very excited. On Monday, I'll be hearing from Monday, though, the 27th, I'll be hearing from the ESAC members as to some of their ideas. So I do feel confident, though August the 17th does seem very, very quick. We'll get there. We'll definitely get there.
Any other discussion? I don't want to exclude anyone.
Thank you. We'll come out of this conversation with more questions and answers, I'm sure. First off, I want to acknowledge the community members that have so many questions, both educator and parent, right? They have questions to topics and a problem that the facts seem to change daily. And we, like many other districts, are bound by policies, whether you consider them right or wrong, that are handed down to us by folks that aren't even in this community. So we are now at the point that we could potentially, hopefully, find some local control to address those issues. And I know that Dr. Ball is incredibly active in that conversation. With the kids, with my kids, it's incredibly difficult to consider sending them to an institution where their educator is feeling so overwhelmed, full of anxiety. So I guess my point is, for the parents that are listening, we're trying to make the right decision to be good by people instead of good for people. And for the educators, I mean, my complete support in giving them the pathways for them to execute the profession that they've chosen to be in a safe manner. So, to echo everybody else's point, anything that we can do to expedite both training and the acquisition of the required hardware and software that we're going to need would get my full support. But with all that, with all our level of transparency, I am not naive to the fact that people are walking out of this conversation with even more questions. So, give us grace, because we're actually operating in complete darkness, because things are changing on a daily basis. However, find comfort in that you have public servant leaders that are focused on getting folks in to what they're, hopefully loving in their profession in a safe manner, while trying to keep
proper policies in place. It's just a thought. That's it.
Thank you, sir.
Madam President, may I say something else?
Yes, please.
Go
Sorry,
ahead.
no, go ahead, you can sing, go ahead.
No.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. I do want to say, though, people might find it hard to believe, there are some people that really, truly do want to come back, teachers, that really, truly do want to come back and are, willing to go face to face. There's also a certain group of students that I want them to come back sooner rather than later. One group might be like our special ed students. I believe that we need to bring them back. There's also some students that their parents are frontline workers, that they need us as much as we need them. So we are working out different scenarios and things to try. We'll never make everybody happy, but try to address the needs of as many as possible.
What I wanted to say is that, I've talked to Dr. Ball, I've talked to several of the board members, because this is extremely frustrating for me, because this is what I did in the Army, preventive medicine. I've served around the world helping with pandemics and outbreaks and situations like this where we had total control, no politics. And I understand our country seems to work a little bit tweaked. And so politics has gotten involved in something that should be left to the science. And I spoke with Dr. Ball, and I was expressing to her a timeline of when our numbers were going to spike again based on Memorial Day and especially the 4th of July. And unfortunately, that is what has happened. And all I'm saying is, people, please, please listen to the science. Labor Day is the last day of summer. Okay, stop wearing white, but stay home. Keep your masks on. Social distance. You want the schools open, do what the people are asking you to do. That is the only way we're going to find out if we really have control of this thing. That is the only way. It is not necessary to picnic. Stay home.
Anyone else? I think that was a good wrap up. Thank you, Ms. Eaton. We'll move on to item 6D, update on board advisory committees. We haven't had any committees, so there's no update. Item E.
I just had one request, I think, and there's been a lot of conversations about what's going on with UIL.
Oh,
If
okay.
there's something that you could just enlighten us on as to what the state of that is.
Dr. Fields would like to.
We checked with our athletic directors on the information that we've received. Because of the decisions that some of the, you need me to take this off? Okay. Because of the decisions that some of the districts have made, like Lake Travis, I doubt that we'll be playing Lake Travis that first game of the season. And the way that it looks like right now, and listening to Mayor Nuremberg last night, I think that there'll be a change in the schedules for athletics. Okay. When that comes and how it comes, I'm unsure, but I don't think that things will be what we anticipated for the athletic school year. And once we receive that information is when we'll contact the band and all the different extracurricular activities. But for now, it doesn't look hopeful to me.
Okay.
We're just waiting. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ms. Michelle?
Yes.
It's not exactly a board advisory committee, but it is the Judson Education Foundation. I want to let my fellow board members know that First Mark Credit Union gave a donation of $10,000 to the Education Foundation in an effort to help offset the difficulties that we've had with our fundraising, having had to postpone so many of our fundraising activities. And I want to acknowledge First Mark Credit Union and say thank you very much for your support.
Absolutely. Thank you, First Mark Credit Union. And we need to send a little message to them and let them know that we're very thankful for that. Is there anyone else?
Lexi has that covered.
Oh, okay, all righty. Is there anyone else? Thank you, Ms. Canoyer.
Quick question.
Yes, sir.
Is this the appropriate time to ask about if it would be possible to get additional board training?
Yes, sir, this would be a good time.
Okay, yeah, so just, I mean, my request is that we explore some organizations or whomever can provide some additional training. We had a wonderful one with the Holdsworth organization, but I'd love to have a kind of a deeper dive into best practices. I know that some folks may have been exposed to Lone Star governance or, I don't know, fill in the blank on the other ones.
XG is another one.
XG. So I'd love to see if we can get something scheduled. Obviously, we have some need to do it on Zoom, but I think we just got to keep that going. That way we can just continue to get better and better and, focus in and see how we can get better educated and then hopefully move the district forward some more.
Okay. Dr. Ball, maybe can Betty look into
Yes,
some
ma'am.
trainings that
Yes, ma'am.
TASB may be having that we could do by webinar, maybe?
Yes, ma'am. We will bring you some
And
information.
bring us some information back.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And I just have a question too about the training we just finished. Miss Betty, is there a way to confirm that I know I uploaded my classes, the way we would have did if we were at the summer leadership?
Yes, ma'am.
They gave us 30 days, which, they don't normally do that. They gave us 30 days that we could go back.
Yes, ma'am. Betty will send you that information to confirm your hours. Is that what you would like, right?
Well, I just want to make sure, because trust me, that was a fiasco.
Okay, I'll have Betty.
You came out less frustrated if you just waited until it was over, the class was over, and then you went back and watched it.
Okay.
Because at least you got to see it. You just couldn't really participate, because they had already finished the question and answer stuff. But the information was there, and it was great. I got some great stuff out of it. And so you sit through it, and then you get your number, and, you upload it. But I just want to make sure it happened, because there was some interesting things going on with that. I think, Renee, the first day, did you even get on? 'Cause
I did later in the
eventually-
day, but I clocked all my hours, though.
Yeah,
I did submit
wrote
all my
everything
hours.
down. Yeah, copious notes, but
Okay, yes, ma'am. Thank you.
technology is only as good as me.
Okay, at this time, pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.074, discussing personnel, the personnel report, and updates including new hires, resignations, and administrative appointments, Director of Child Nutrition, we will go into closed session now at 7:43 p.m. We are resuming our open session. We're resuming an open session at 7:55 PM. There will be no further action taken. Oh, I'm sorry. I am very sorry. We do have a decision that was made. If there is a motion, will you please, if there is somebody that would like to make a motion?
Yes, I move that we approve the personnel report and updates, including new hires, resignations, and administrative appointments, and including to name Ms. Bevelon Concha as the new Director of Child Nutrition.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second, this is Deborah Eaton.
The motion has been moved and seconded, and we'll take a roll call vote. I'll start with Ms. King.
Shatanya King, aye.
Ms. Eaton?
Deborah Eaton, aye.
Ms. Perez?
Lynette Perez, aye.
Ms. Canoyer?
Suzanne Canoyer, aye.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Jennifer Rodriguez, aye.
Mr. Diaz?
Rafael Diaz, aye.
Renee Pichelle, aye. And that motion passes unanimously. Dr. Ball?
I have nothing further at this time. Just congratulations to all the new people. Thank you.
And if there are no further discussions on anything, the time now is 7:56, and this meeting is adjourned.